Yeah, we need them. We certainly need strategies. Strategies for living, that is.
Don't we all?
Yeah, we do.
As long as we're living.
As long as we're living, we do need strategies. So are you ready? You ready for your daily dose of radio rehab?
I think I'm ready.
You think?
I think so.
I think you are too.
Pretty ready.
Yeah.
I'm pretty stoked.
Hey, folks, welcome. And thank you for joining us today here on Strategies for Living. I'm Dr. David McMillan. She is psychotherapist, PLPC, Lauren Leon McMillan, and we appreciate you being with us here on Strategies for Living. We went to the movies this weekend.
Yes, we did.
You know, we saw the movie Inside Out 2 several days ago went over the $1 billion mark.
Wow.
What a...
that's hopeful to me. It really is.
Yeah?
I'm glad for that.
A lot of people are saying that Inside Out 2 is Pixar's best picture since Soul.
Okay, since Soul. Yeah, because Soul was really good, too.
So it explores, of course, growing up, real complex themes, if you will, growing into adulthood. Of course, it's a sequel to Inside Out. And
can I say it's one of those rare times when the sequel is I'd say it's just as good.
Some people might even say that it's better. Yeah.
Yeah, I could argue for that.
Because, of course, Inside Out gave us emotions, and we'll talk about those.
Right.
But then Inside Out 2...
gave us something even more powerful, which we all know about. Introduced
new emotions, and it's, a very, very compelling narrative to it. And it took the original...
And it built on it.
It added layer after layer after layer to it. So, I thought it would be good for us to unpack it. A lot of young people...
inside out.
Yeah, a lot of young people are seeing this movie, and I think that is a very good thing.
So good.
Young to old, I think...
we all need this.
This is a movie that everybody could enjoy, And so... we're going to unpack Inside Out 2 today.
Turn it inside out.
We're going to turn it inside out here on Strategies for Living. And we appreciate you being with us here on Strategies for Living. We are presented by the Robinson Film Center, by Azalea Cleaners, by Pintail Roofing, by Learning RX, by Empress Cannabis with Love, and by the Shreveport Little Theater. Back in a moment, we're going to unpack some emotions today from Inside Out 2. Whether you've seen the movie or not, you're going to get something out of what we unpack here this evening on Strategies. So come back, stay with us. Hey, welcome in. Welcome into Strategies for Living here on 101.7 FM and 710 Keel. Psychotherapist Lauren Leon McMillan, PLPC, David McMillan, and thank you. Thank you for joining us here on Strategies for Living. I enjoyed the night at the movies last evening.
Yes, it was wonderful.
Yeah. There's just nothing like... I mean, we watch a lot of movies on, on Netflix and...
at home. In the home theater.
And I like that, too. I love that. I love being able to sit in my regular chair and...
get up, pause if you need to.
Yeah. But there's just something about the ambience of going to... the movies, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Robinson Film Center is one of our sponsors. I love going to the Robinson, and
absolutely,
but there's just when you walk into a movie theater, and you there's the excitement. There's, you go to the right and there's all those screens. You go to the left and there's all those screens, and wow.
It's a lot going on.
A lot going on. And then the popcorn.
Right.
I don't know whether, I was strong last night.
Yeah.
Yeah, the popcorn and
no, I think
hot
the
dog
stairs stopped you.
Well, yeah, that may have done it too. Yeah, but I'm talking about you pass that you pass the snack bar and
Yes.
there you go.
Yeah.
There's nothing quite like a hot dog with mustard and relish with a movie theater around you. I don't know whether you've noticed that or not. Probably not.
I'll give you that one. I'll trust you on that one.
Trust me
I'll
on
take
this.
your word. I'm more of a popcorn girl myself.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. Butter or no butter?
No.
Yeah. See, that's where we differ. So we saw Inside Out 2, and this movie, it's a coming-of-age film. And, of course, it's from Pixar, part of Walt Disney Pictures. And it's a sequel to Inside Out. And very well done. Like you said.
It was really cool now that you think about, I'm thinking about people who haven't seen it, right? And
and we're not going to spoil anything.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
But
no spoilers.
do want to unpack its importance and some of the things that we can get out of it, that you can take going into it or out of it, whichever one.
Right.
However, it's one of those movies where, yes, this one built on the second one, and it's just as good, if not better. Okay.
Yeah.
However, I think it's also it could be a standalone.
Oh, I agree.
And I think
agree.
that's pretty impressive.
I agree.
The way that they were able to make it and create so creatively and pack so much into it.
And no doubt that, some people did not see Inside Out,
Which
original.
I would still recommend that you see, just because it's an incredible movie.
I would too, but I do think that this can stand alone, even if you didn't see Inside Out.
Don't let it stop you from going to see Inside Out 2.
you're not going to be lost in
No.
Inside Out 2. So let's kind of remind people
Yes.
who saw Inside Out, and maybe tell people who did not,
Right.
the characters.
So it follows the little girl named Riley. Right. And
Riley Anderson.
yeah.
And when we meet her in Inside Out, she is just a cute
She's a
little
baby.
She's a little baby, and we watch her grow with her folks, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And so we're also introduced to the emotions within Riley. Right?
Ooh, yeah.
And that's the forefront of Inside Out 1. We are introduced to joy,
Yeah.
sadness,
Yeah.
fear,
Yeah.
disgust,
Yeah. And anger.
and anger. And which, it's fabulous, because in most therapeutic theories, those are the
five basics.
Yeah, those are your 5 basics that you get when you're born.
Mad, sad, glad, fear, and I don't know. I've always thought mad, sad,
Yeah,
fat.
I know where you were going.
Yeah, mad, sad, glad, fear, sex.
Right.
But
However, the innate ones, right? The
Yeah.
ones that you're pre-puberty, right?
Right.
Are those mad, sad, joy. We'll use joy. 'Cause
Yeah.
That's what Inside Out goes with: joy, anger, fear, disgust, and sadness.
Yeah. And and it's done in such a way that it's really entertaining
And informational.
and
And accurate.
Yeah.
Because I remember seeing Inside Out, maybe it was right before, but it was parallel to me studying neuroscience.
Okay.
And it just, pardon the pun, but it kind of blew my mind, right? With how accurate it was to what I was learning about how memories are formed, how memory retrieval works, and how learning and perception works, and the emotions. I mean, it's very informative, very accurate, based on our modern theories.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you could get better than that to introduce these concepts in such a playful, engaging, and easy to understand way, especially for kids, right? Because that's one of the biggest hurdles of our lives that some of us don't even get over, which is understanding emotions and how they work and how to manage them.
Yeah. Well, and I always have said, either we have to learn to manage our emotions, energy and motions, and we'll talk about that in a second.
Right.
Either we have to learn to manage the emotions, or the emotions will manage us.
Right, which we see it's not quite as spoken specifically about, but you see the emotions at the control panel in the mind, right?
And again, we're not, this is, you can, if you watch the trailers, you're going to see the control panel, and that's kind of what both movies deal with.
Right, is the development of the emotions and their ability to, quote unquote, take over or manage the control panel, right?
Right. We'll get back to Inside Out and Inside Out 2 in a second, but just to go quickly into, what are we talking about here? Feelings and thoughts and emotions. What's a feeling? What's a thought? What's an emotion? We hear triggers. What's a trigger? I thought trigger was a horse, and not quite. But how does all of that come into play? With our the way we're put together as humans. Yeah,
and I think both movies give great ways for us to talk about them. Yeah, for us to communicate what's going on.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest takeaways, not just for me, I think it's a universal takeaway. I think it was intended within the first movie, Inside Out. It is the importance of all emotions.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because there's this struggle, especially between joy and sadness in the first movie. And in the end, I'm going to try not to spoil too much, but, Riley and the audience learn the importance of all of them together and how important each emotion is, and that no one is better or worse than the other. Yeah, and it's important for our connection with each other.
And I think that's a real human dilemma, isn't it? We want to label. We want to label certain emotions, quote unquote, good. Certain feelings, emotions, quote unquote, good. Certain feelings, emotions, quote unquote, bad.
Right.
And they're just, you're right away. You're not on solid ground when you do that.
No.
Because there's an old saying, feelings aren't right, feelings aren't wrong, they're just feelings. And let's extend that. We've talked about this before on strategies. Feelings are they're actually the physical sensations. We have also thoughts. Well, a thought and a feeling together, that's an emotion.
That's the energy in motion.
Energy in motion, yeah. So some people would ask, okay, well, how are feelings different from emotions? Well, the feeling is the physical sensation within your body. It's important because it gives you an idea of, okay, what's going on. But the feeling itself is a physical emotion. A physical sensation. Then coupled with a thought, that then makes an emotion.
Right.
So technically, anger is not a feeling.
Yeah.
It's an emotion.
And I think the movie goes along with that.
Yeah.
I mean, because...
And depicts it well,
yeah,
I think.
I think for sure. Yeah. Definitely.
And a lot of the things that we label as feelings, those are really emotions. They're feelings, they're physical sensations coupled with...
the thought.
The cognitions and the thoughts. That makes an emotion. Yeah. One of the things that and Inside Out 2 introduces, because Riley gets into
the teenage years.
Yeah. The movie kind of starts with her 13th birthday.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
which we know is a roller coaster for emotions, right?
And so it introduces some new characters. And, we've already got joy and sadness and anger and disgust and fear. Mm-hmm. And now we're going to introduce envy and embarrassment. Mm-hmm. And I can never say this
ennui.
one. Ennui. What?
Ennui. I learned a new word. I actually learned it before we went to the movies, but Inside Out taught me. Ennui, it's a listlessness or boredom.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And certainly that goes with teenage years. Yeah. And am I missing one? Anxiety, envy, embarrassment,
and ennui.
Yeah. Those are the new characters that are introduced.
Appropriately.
Very appropriately in Inside Out 2.
At puberty, yeah.
Yeah. And so we're going to come back and we're going to unpack. We're going to unpack some of those new emotions in Inside Out 2. Great movie. If you haven't seen it.
Go see it.
Yeah. Go.
Full force ahead.
Good date out. Good night out. And you might even see it with your kids. It's very appropriate. Very appropriate for kids. We'll talk about that too when we come back here on Strategies for Living. Stay with us. Hey, let's talk about the Robinson Film Center, 617 Texas Street, downtown Shreveport. How many times do I say there is no place like Robinson Film Center?
You don't say it enough.
Well, no, I probably don't. And there is no place like the Robinson Film Center. I mean, where do you go to see current movies that you're not going to see anyplace else? Well, Robinson Film Center. Find out what's showing at robinsonfilmcenter.org. And then you've got Abby Singer's Bistro, right? Full-service bistro and bar, second floor of the Robinson.
That's what I can't get enough of.
Oh, man. So, here's what you want to do. You want to join the crowd, join the fun, become a member. You get discounts on movies, you get concession upgrades, you get bistro deals. RFC, 617 Texas Street, downtown Shreveport. RobinsonFilmCenter.org.
Reading begins not in the classroom, but in your child's brain. I'm Donisa Walker with LearningRx Shreveport. If your child struggles to read, maybe he or she has trouble focusing or comprehending, LearningRx Shreveport offers a science solution to reading problems, working one-on-one with your child, targeting his or her reading skills. Today, call LearningRx Shreveport. Make an appointment to have your child assessed. I know you want to help your child, so does LearningRx Shreveport.
And welcome back. Welcome back into 101.7 FM, 710 Keel. Welcome back into Strategies for Living. David McMillan and PLPC Lauren Leon McMillan here on Strategies. And we're talking about, if you haven't seen Inside Out 2, it is certainly worth a night out.
Please do.
Yeah.
For you, yourself, for the kids, for the world.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how important I believe. I'm a little biased.
Yeah, well,
but I do believe it's that important of a movie.
Kind of right up our alley, if you will. That's why we're spending a program talking about it. And again, we're not going to give any, there's no spoilers here. We're not going to give anything away. But we've already, if you've seen it, if you saw Inside Out, the original movie, you know Riley, mm-hmm. and so one of the things that this movie does, the first one and this one, it's about development.
Yeah,
it's about human growth and development, and so.
And it so accurately depicts the urgency and the emergence that happens, I think, at puberty.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So, again, no spoiler alerts here. This isn't a big thing. I think you can see some of this on the...
in the trailer. You see the new emotions appear.
But, yeah, the new emotions appear. And Riley's going off to hockey camp. And she's stuck choosing whether she should spend time with her best friends, Grace Lou, and Bree, Grace and Bree. And you learn very quickly that Grace and Bree are going to be going to different high schools than Riley. And so it sets up a real tension,
right?
That
and it's a
they
very,
deal with.
It's a very relatable scenario, I think, for any of us who grew up in adolescence. You know, the change in friendships plus the change in your body and emotions causes, well, some struggle, right?
Yeah,
and some things to overcome and work through.
And pretty early, she meets the new high school's hockey star, Valentina, and
typical idolization, right?
Yeah. And they deal with that well, and she kind of offers to take Riley under her wing, and that kind of sets up a tension.
Right.
That, we're not going to get into a lot of that, but adolescence, is really about setting up a tension. And, and I think it's not a bad thing, even though, again, just like feelings and emotions themselves that we label quote unquote good and bad, there are no good or bad times, being a baby, being a 3-year-old.
No, we need them all to make who we are.
Being a young prepubescent, being an adolescent, teenager, being old. I mean, we need all of those.
And they all come with significant changes.
Most definitely.
That we work through and grow through.
And
most importantly.
And again, no matter how old you are as you see this movie, and I think, I think that young and old can appreciate the, Inside Out too.
Yeah, all of it.
And I think, I don't want to go too far with this. I don't want to oversell this, but I think, there could be some conversations.
Oh, absolutely, no doubt.
Could be spurred by watching this movie with your kids or your grandkids. Now, again, I think if you're doing that, parents, grandparents, keep those expectations in check. Keep them.
Let it unfold naturally, organically.
Right.
Don't force anything. However, and it might surprise you, not right after the movie, but maybe, within the next week, your kid has a meltdown, and you're able to, because you've watched this movie, talk about your emotions in a brand new way.
Yeah.
And that, to me, is the power of films like these.
Yeah.
It really brings new tools to the forefront, not just the lingo. I mean, conversations about anxiety in general can be had, but then also from this movie we can really talk about, okay, who's at the control panel right now, right? We can have conversations like that, that completely change how we're able to not just manage our kids' emotions and help the kids manage their emotions, but us too as adults.
Well, yeah, I would say that some of us live 40, 50, 60, 70 years even, and we don't know how to really control our emotions, so our emotions control us, end up controlling us.
Which is clearly front and center in the movies, right? Because they're sitting at the control panel, right?
Right.
And so at the very least, it brings into our awareness this idea that they're sitting there at the control panel.
Yeah.
Okay. You might not be able to get them away from the control panel. That's not the point.
Right.
We can talk about that later on. But first, it just brings into awareness, okay, wow, your anger is at your control panel, and it just triggered my anger to come to my control panel, right?
Right.
So who can I bring to the table at least to help us to connect better, whatever the situation may need?
Yeah. One of the things that I really was happy to see this movie introduce was beliefs.
Yes.
The idea of, Well, a couple of things. Not only the
beliefs, the sense of self.
Yes, the sense of the beliefs with our coupled with our emotional self build our sense of self, our belief system. Not one single belief, but the system, the entire structure, if you will, of our beliefs really end up creating
our sense of self,
our sense of who we are,
right.
Our sense of self.
Yeah. And I think they did that so beautifully. I mean, to build upon the first movie, but also it's developmentally accurate, right? In that in those first few years of Riley's life, she was building the belief system. And so we weren't really aware of it in the first movie.
But man, they smacked it to us this time, didn't
right.
they? Because when it comes to adolescence, when it comes to our teenage years,
it's intact.
We really begin. And that's one of the things that really, can kind of cause havoc within families, within households, because all of those things that we have taught, that we've spent time as parents, grandparents, teachers, people who have instructed young people, and we've given all of these beliefs, we've offered it to them. We've given them, our treasures, if you will.
Yeah.
And then so many times...
Our roadmap to the world.
Right.
Yeah.
And so many times they just take what they've been given, the whole sack, and just pour them out and start stepping on them, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And the movie so accurately depicts that, right?
It does.
That all of that gets turned upside down. And I don't know that this will spoil too much, but I do want to talk about something that I mentioned. A lot of her memories build islands, right?
Yeah, I wanted to bring in the idea of,
personality islands.
The memories.
Yeah.
The memories are an important part, not only the belief system, but the memories.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Oh, right. Yeah, where I was going was with the personality islands are built on memories as well.
Right.
And I think it's worth noticing, because it's not really talked about, but briefly we see Riley's personality islands, and family island is way smaller.
Yeah.
Which is very appropriate for adolescents, because it dwarfs in comparison now the movie projects to a friend island rather.
Right.
Her friendship island is huge.
Right.
And it just dwarfs family island, which I think is something so important for kids and parents to be able to talk about. Like, look, this is just part of development, that my family island has gotten smaller.
Right.
And friendship is way more important just at this point in my life. It doesn't stay that way.
Right.
But that is a developmentally accurate depiction of what happens.
Absolutely.
And it's healthy. It's a healthy part of development as well.
It's normal growth and development.
Yeah.
It's normal human growth and development. But if we don't know that, if we don't realize that, either from the parental or grandparent point of view,
we might take it personally,
or the kid point of view, we don't know what's really happening.
Right. And that's what's so important about Inside Out, right? Is to see it from the inside out and be able to have conversations like this in a more neutral place.
Even if you don't have conversations with your kids about it, even if you don't end up doing that, having a conversation within yourself, and even being able to see the parts, the parts of me, because all of us aren't just one single entity.
No.
We all have multiple parts within us. I'm not saying that we're
schizophrenic or
no. It's just normal that we have parts of us that develop. And again, if we're not able to stay aware of that, some of those parts may end up at the controls, if you would, and start running the show. Which
the movie does a really great job of showing how at one point the new emotion of anxiety really wreaks some havoc, takes over. Yeah. And I don't know if this is a spoiler alert, but I will say spoiler alert, she has a panic attack.
Yeah.
And it's an accurate depiction. It's very good.
It is an accurate depiction of it shows. And, I think that has some validity and value.
Oh,
because
huge.
many, many, many young people experience panic attacks, but they don't have the language. They don't have the ability to understand what's really going on. Movies like this give the
voice
the language,
to the voiceless.
Right. And they give the ability to be able to say, oh, well, wait a minute, maybe I'm not so weird after all.
No,
right?
No, it happens.
Yeah, it's just a normal part of life.
Especially when we're dealing with these new emotions. We don't know what they're doing. They're running crazy. We have to learn what they're doing for us.
They're brand new. They're brand new, and we have to learn them as we move along. That's part of growth and development.
Right.
We're unpacking. Without spoiling it in any way, we're unpacking Inside Out 2. It takes complex personal changes and makes it an entertaining film. It's kind of a parable, if you will.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, kind of a parable. We're continuing to unpack it today here on Strategies for Living. We've got more. Stay with us. We'll be right back. You're going to see the difference. When you go to Azalea Cleaners, you'll hear about it too. Azalea Cleaners has been fine dry cleaning since 1958, plus laundry, alterations and repairs, comforters, wedding gown cleaning and restoration. You'll hear about it from your friends because they'll see it too. They'll notice the Azalea difference. Azalea is convenient. 732 Azalea Drive, 9220 Ellerby Road, and 9227 Mansfield Road. Plus, the front door of your home or business with Azalea's delivery on demand. Just text SETUP to 249-8283, and Azalea will pick up your clothes and deliver them back clean and fresh to you. You can't get closer than that. That's the Azalea difference. You'll notice it right away. Others will too. The Azalea difference. Fine dry cleaning since 1958. Text SETUP to 249-8283 and get the Azalea difference. AzaleaCleaners.com.
Hi, this is Jay Merle for Pintail Roofing. Let's talk about quality. When you hire Pintail to build your roof, here's what you can expect. Quality and quality control are the most important concerns for us at Pintail, and you need to know that Pintail stands tall with swift and professional performance on any warranty call. This is our most important policy. And remember, we're your neighbors. We'll be here for you for the long haul. Our family's lived here for over 100 years, and we aren't going anywhere. On the commercial side of Pintail's business, our fluid-applied roofing solutions can save thousands of dollars over conventional commercial roofing options. Call Pintail at 226-ROOF for a free inspection of your home or commercial building. That's 226-7663. Pintail Roofing. What's the condition of your roof?
And welcome back. Welcome back into 101 FM, 710 Keel. Welcome back into Strategies for Living. Lauren Leon McMillan, David McMillan. We're talking about, have you seen Inside Out 2 yet? If you haven't, you need to. Yeah,
I think everyone needs to see it.
Yeah, if
I would go out with signs.
I would like to see it again.
I would too. It's worth seeing again. I
don't think I saw Inside Out in the theater, watched it again later on. I'd see that again too.
I would too.
And again, Inside Out. Inside Out 2 stands alone. You don't have to see it, but you have to see Inside Out before if you don't want to. But I would recommend you.
I would. It definitely builds on and expands from the other. And
you're gonna Riley, and she's she's changing. She's definitely changing. into adolescence we go, because the movie opens up with
I love that the movie kind of
13th birthday party.
It opens up with the idea that, okay, all the emotions have kind of set into their groove. They know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Right? They know their place and how to help her along.
Yeah.
And then
everything.
puberty. Right? And how relatable is that, right?
Yeah. Kind of like, here at the radio station, they've been reconstructing, right?
Right. And your whole control board is.
Yeah, it reminded me
sure.
of during the movie when adolescents showed up and when the crew showed up, started changing things. Wait a minute, you can't change that control board, and then it's gone.
Right.
Yeah.
And they didn't directly label these things in the film, the little worker guys. But I would like to really think, at least from a neurological and psychological viewpoint, even biological.
Yeah.
I mean, they were hormones. They were little hormone enzymes coming in and reprogramming the systems. They never labeled them.
No.
But I truly believe that's an accurate representation
I think you're right.
of what they were.
And there are some things that got introduced in this movie that weren't exactly characters.
You love the way they incorporate ideas into visual and events on screen.
Yeah.
I mean, that's magic. That's creativity at work.
Amen.
And I've got to tell you, one of my favorites, from this movie was sarcasm.
I knew you were going to like sarcasm.
It was so good. And it's so accurate and a great visualization of what it does, right?
Yeah.
Because in the movie, when Riley is sarcastic, it's not a character, but what happens is a chasm, a literal chasm, a sarcasm forms inside her mind.
Yeah.
Which is
and
that's what happens.
How do I jump over that chasm?
Right.
How do I get over that?
Right, because we often use sarcasm so lightly, like, oh, it's just part of my personality. But the way the movie depicts it, it literally forms a chasm.
Yeah.
Which is what it's doing, because when you're sarcastic, you have this sort of cognitive dissonance going on because you're not actually speaking how you truly feel. Right. And you form a chasm within you.
Yes.
And I think that is so powerful. And such a powerful way to look at what it does.
I think they're also setting up.
Yeah.
They're setting up, and I'm glad, I hope I'm right about this. Mm-hmm. I think they're setting up an Inside Out 3. They decide to make that because they introduce kind of a very, very minor character. And then they
no
introduce
spoilers.
her, and then they shove her out real quickly.
Right.
And that's nostalgia. And she shows up a couple of times during the movie.
Not too long.
And they tell her, we're not ready for you yet. We're not ready for you yet. Yeah. Oh, okay, well, I'll go back downstairs. But, I hope I'm right that they're setting up, that I can see, again, there's a brilliance here. They must have some brilliant psychological,
research team
that is behind this, because they're doing an excellent job in terms of growth and development, human growth and development. If you've never taken a human growth and development course,
it is one of my favorite.
It really is a good psychology course. Even if you're not a psychology major.
I mean, we're all growing and developing, so you can learn something about what you're doing.
If you've ever thought of auditing a course, human growth and development might be the course for you. And you can probably, I don't know, with the availability of online courses out there.
Sure.
You can probably find a good human growth and development course. I don't know, but Inside Out 2. Really.
And I know we've been going on and on about the concepts and the ideas that it introduced, because that's kind of our thing, and it is structurally sound in that way. However, I think we would be amiss if we didn't, just really marvel at the animation, right? I mean, it's classic Pixar.
My goodness, yeah, Pixar. I mean, you can't beat it. This is a sequel, it's a sequel to Inside Out. If you watched Inside Out, I mean, here's the deal. It's not, the film is not going back over old territory. it's introducing new, and it keeps you, it keeps you guessing. You don't know what's going to happen just because you've watched Inside Out.
No, not at all.
You don't know what's going to happen in 2 because it's
which again is true to
to life,
right? To real human growth and development in life.
Yeah. So, it is definitely it's definitely a film worth seeing. What did you, as a therapist, what did you as a psychotherapist take away as you were walking out of the movie theater? What kind of things were you contemplating?
So mostly so much hope and excitement. Okay?
Yeah.
Because to me, the fact that what you announced about how popular it's been in terms of people going to see it, that makes my therapist heart happy. Okay? Because it gives us a better understanding, a better foundation on which to talk about these things. And then we can jump off from that. I mean, there's only further growth from that.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the benefits, I think, of going to see a counselor, going to psychotherapy, going to a therapist, is the ability to take a step back and witness, if you will, your own thoughts and feelings. Movies Inside Out and now Inside Out 2 give people who are never going to go to therapy, never going to go to counseling, the ability to do that.
Yeah, to have the framework and some words around it.
Yeah, yeah.
That are really, really well done, really accurate, really true to the theory and how it can really impact your life.
Yeah, it is definitely a movie worth seeing. It's definitely I don't know. The time passed so quickly. I'm not sure if it was 2 hours. I think
it's an hour and a half.
Hour and a half.
It's a kids movie.
It was over. It seemed like it was over. I wanted it to go on. That's how good it was.
Yeah, for sure.
Talking about Inside Out 2. If you haven't seen it, go see it. We'll be back here on Strategies for a Living in just a moment. It's been going on for 101 years now. I'm talking about the Shreveport Little Theater. Been enriching our lives through the performing arts and education and opportunities to volunteer service guided by professional artists. They've been at it a long time. And up next, beautiful, the Carole King musical is the summer musical this year. And have you seen the 24-25 season? My goodness. Neil Simon's Brighton Beach memoirs, Steel Magnolias, It's a Wonderful Life, Doubt, I Love You, You're Perfect Now, Change, and then May We All, a new country musical. You need to get your season tickets right now. ShreveportLittleTheater.com. It is American theater at its best at 812 Margaret Place in Shreveport. Shreveport Little Theater. ShreveportLittleTheater.com. Hey, welcome back in. Welcome back into 1017 FM, 710 Keel. Welcome back into Strategies for a Living. PLPC, Lauren Leon McMillan, David McMillan, and we've been talking about. Have you been to see Inside Out 2 yet? We saw it last evening, and
I could geek out over this movie for another hour if you let me. There's so much to unpack.
Yeah, they're not going to let us know. I mean,
I don't think I could do it without being too spoiling.
Yeah, so. We don't want to, you want to go see this movie. And again, it stands alone. You don't have to see Inside Out, but we highly recommend that you do. And I think you can probably see that at home very easily streaming, yes. But right now, Inside Out 2 is in theaters.
Great summer movie.
Great summer movie.
And yourself.
Yeah. Treat yourself. Treat yourself to, to a night out at the movies. Yeah. What do you want to, what do you want to leave folks with? You mentioned anxiety, and they dealt with anxiety and showed.
That was one of the most important things I think from them is, Yeah, anxiety got a little heavy-handed, as it does in teenage years. However, we also get to see how helpful and protective anxiety is, which as therapists we talk about, right?
Yeah.
That it is there for a reason. It's helpful and protective. And it's only when it's running the control board that we get into trouble.
Yeah, and they didn't introduce this character, but maybe that's coming in a future movie. Maybe balance will come in, you know?
Perhaps. So.
Maybe. Who knows? Folks, thank you. Thank you for being with us here on Strategies for Living. We do this every day for you, and we appreciate you being with us. And we appreciate our sponsors making it all possible. The Robinson Film Center and Azalea Cleaners and Pintail Roofing and Learning RX and Hempress, Cannabis with Love and Shreveport Little Theater. If today were the last day of your life, you only had one more phone call that you could make, who would you call? And what would you say? And why are you waiting? Make the call. For Lauren Leon McMillan, I'm David McMillan. See you next time right here on Strategies for Living.